Hello again. So here we are back with another draft floor plan review. So we're going to talk about not only some design considerations, but also symbols, floor plan symbols, wall thicknesses, types of doors, etc. So let's start first here. I'm going to zoom in on the first floor plan. So the immediate thing that I noticed, and here I will separate this. This was the submission. The walls. So there's not too much difference between the exterior walls and the interior walls. And I'm not quite sure what are the interior walls. So I would definitely make sure to clarify that. Because then I will be able to, better assist the intentions. I'm going to make some assumptions today. I may or may not be correct, but I think for the purposes of an educational video, it will work. One thing that I noticed too was the doors. Granted, I know that this is a rough draft, but just make sure that your door panels, which is that straight line that you give the door, make sure that that is actually measured to the opening of the door. So roughly 3 feet. Otherwise, and you can see this one's really short. It does help with space planning because sometimes, doors get in the way of things or furniture gets in the way of things. So you just want to make sure that there's enough clearance for everything. And as a note, a door panel does have a little bit of thickness, and then the door swing is a really light line weight. Going back to the wall thicknesses. So the exterior wall thicknesses, you would want to consider 6 to 8 inches, depending. Let me see. I'm trying to see if the original had one. Anyway, yeah, so you want to actually draw your walls to scale in their thickness, especially when it comes to the contrast between exterior walls and interior walls. So here, these are really thick exterior walls just to reinforce how important that is. And I'm not quite sure of, how thick the walls are in this draft. So this is just a symbol to remind, make sure to measure out your walls and the interior walls. And as a design note, anywhere that you put a door, you do need a little bit of wall space, primarily to attach the door frame to. So usually when a door is like seemingly in a corner or against a wall, there's usually a few inches at least of wall that the frame connects to. And just as a tip, it is important to make sure that you, if possible, can open the door against a wall. So it's not, so the panel is on this side versus this side. It just gives it a more cohesive feel. Yeah, so right away, I'm seeing a really unique arrangement of spaces. And it looks like there's a door going into a kitchen area with a fireplace and a lounge, I think. I'm not quite sure. The program did not specify the type of dining. So it just said the dining area needs to accommodate 4 to 6 people, and that when entertaining, buffet style is preferred. So that's open to interpretation. And right now I'm seeing almost like a banquette, which is what you call a booth that only has one quote unquote booth attachment, and then there's tables. So I'm almost seeing like a banquet breakfast nook area, and then I'm seeing 4 bar stools. I would double check the measurement on these. I don't think you're going to get 4 there, considering that this is 3 feet. So you might be able to get 2 sitting at its current state. So just make sure that you are, drafting to scale when you do your rough draft, because that will impact what, if you think you've required or you've met a requirement, and then when you draft it to scale, it doesn't fit. That it happens a lot. And so try to avoid that happening to you. So I'm seeing what looks like maybe a lounge area where you would have like cocktails, which is really cool to think about. This sofa looks a little large. It might just be making sure that there's enough room for this door. And so that's another instance where it's important to make sure your doors are the right size when you're doing your concept creative draft, just to make sure you can accommodate all the things you need to accommodate, because you're seeing the door swing hitting that sofa. So it might be a matter of making the sofa smaller, or arranging the space differently on this side so you can move the door back. Not quite sure. And I'm very interested as to why there is a closed off door to this space in general. It almost feels like a speakeasy. Like you would go in and you have this small kitchen area. It's closed off on the first floor, but then above it, this is where the loft happens. So it's actually open to the lofted space above. So this is a really interesting dynamic, and I'd love to hear more about the why. And that's another important point of design communication through drawing, is people will ask why. If it's a unique response, you want to be able to defend your design decisions and your responses. So showcasing the logic or the reasoning as much as possible through drawing will help that. And also one thing I noticed is that there at current doesn't appear to be any windows along this wall. I'm not sure what's happening here, but there are indications of windows in other places, or at least just this one place. So I'm assuming that's what the windows are looking like generally, and I'm just not seeing them anywhere else on the floor plan other than right here. So that's definitely something to think about. So again, when you walk in, it is nice to have the bathroom this close to the entry, and it does seem to be tucked away. So if you were in the lounge area or eating, you still have privacy when entering the bathroom, because people generally like a bathroom door to be kind of set back or in a nook or tucked away in private. So you don't want a bathroom door to just be completely flush with a wall that's in a social space, because that makes it very awkward for people coming in and out of the space. Also think about acoustics. But this is nice. So you walk in, and then it looks like you have the toilet, a sink, and a shower. Again, I would check the measurements on those things. The toilet looks like it might be okay, but the shower is a little small. I think you can easily make that larger, and the sink is super, super tiny. So unless it's a, wall-mounted sink, or it's a pedestal sink, but right now it's showing that it is maybe has casework underneath it. So think about that, especially since it looks like we have more room over here for things. So I do see that this is a combination utility room. Again, think about the door. Granted, a door just going into utility area doesn't necessarily need to be 3 feet. It can be slightly smaller. However, this is an exceptionally small door. And this is a really small water heater as well. So again, I think if this area was scaled correctly, you are going to fill up this entire space. And then I'm not quite sure what this line is, if this is a wall or if this is indicating some kind of bulkhead overhead, or if this is a closet that's like in a wall, or if it's an exposed hanging rod. I'm not quite sure. A closet could be nice. Maybe it goes all the way to the edge of the wall, therefore creating almost another little nook for the bathroom door. And then we go through this threshold, and you see that there's stairs here. In the original floor plan, it does show a walled area here. So there's options that you can do with this. You can have exposed stairs where you see the underside of the stairs. You can wall off. So the stairs essentially just go, all the way to the ground, and you have, panels or woodwork or built-in shelves. Or you could, have some kind of railing or other designs. So add that to it. So if there's a railing or a wall, right now we just don't know, because there's no indication. And then it looks like we go back into this hallway space, and there's almost a secondary lounge area with a large ottoman and then 2 chairs and a bookshelf, which is interesting. So the spatial arrangement for this is exceptionally unique. I don't want to critique it too much, because I know that this is a super rough draft, and sometimes it is hard to get some things on the page. And I have not seen bubble diagrams or block diagrams from the student, or really any adjacency work. It's possible that they uploaded it to Dropbox, and I just haven't seen it yet. Because this was just emailed directly to me. So I will look into that, because that might help explain some things, as we saw in a previous video where I took another, draft floor plan, very, similar to the state of this, and created a bubble and a block diagram from it. Or, hypothetically, I guess I just pretended it was my own design, and I just moved through it. So now we move up to the second floor. Immediately I'm seeing there's a door right at the top of this staircase. That's a unique design as well. Make sure that you accommodate enough room for a door there. And again, you're gonna want the panel to go against the wall. There's a window here. This window carries up, so that's a nice relationship. And up here, we're seeing more of a wall. I added this, but you're seeing that there is something here that has dimension. So that could be a railing, it could be a wall, I don't know. So I just added that. So that is, I'm sure that is a under construction, under design consideration element. Something I did notice, in this bathroom area, we're seeing a door right here. That is an awkward relationship. Immediately I was like, okay, well, the door just needs to be opened on the other side. That's also awkward when it opens against the vanity. So neither option is desirable. So what could happen to solve this, oops, I don't, keeps going there, is that you just make it a pocket door. Since this is a lofted space, and then it's more or less private to the client, it's not his entertaining space, more or less, and you do have a door here, so it's even more private. You could have a pocket door here, in which case it's just the door that goes right in to the wall, and so it doesn't impede the actual space of the room at all. And actually this happened over here as well. We're seeing a walk-in closet. And this door just takes up so much space, and it, to have the panel open, it makes it almost as if this wall can't be functional, because when you're in the closet, the door will be open, and this will just be completely covered with the panel. So we do have the opportunity to make another pocket door. So I really do appreciate the planning of this vertical plumbing riser, how it's like planned into this nook. It does come with its own, it looks like it has a little wall around it. So if you are doing something built into the wall related to the plumbing riser, add more depth to the wall to accommodate the opening for the pocket door, so it's not going right into the plumbing riser. And so something else I noted, this isn't too much of a big deal, but it looked like the dimensions were being measured to the exterior. So you just want to make sure that your dimensions are going into the interior walls. Not a huge deal, but I did put that in red just to call that out. And then here I saw the line that's like open to below, but I added this, thinking, oh, maybe it's a railing, maybe it's a half wall. I'm not really sure, but think about this experience. And then also think about what's happening here in this space. So it looks like there's a little bit of a hallway with a chair at the end of it. So I'm curious to know more about what this is. And then this would either, depending on what this is, if this is a wall or a half wall or a railing, you'd probably want to continue it along the edge here. And then that would leave you with just a little piece of lofted space that you wouldn't even be able to walk on because it would be so small. So this is definitely in need of design consideration of what's happening here. Let's see what else. Definitely need windows. You need more windows. Windows they're an important part of this project. They're specifically called out in the program of what the client wants. The inside-outside relationship is really important. It does say they're not adequate windows. So having just 2 small windows is not enough. Let's see here. So I did write some notes to the edge, like windows. Why the sliver of space between the bathroom and railing? Okay. Why door at the top of the stairs? So again, this is a question that I'm left wondering, what is going on? And at first I was like, well, maybe this is intended to be the guest room or where the guests stay, but it does say in the program that the primary bedroom is to be on the 2nd floor. And then just make sure to draw accurate thickness of walls for exterior, interior, and plumbing walls. So anywhere where you have plumbing next to, it's going to be a thicker wall to accommodate for those pipes going through it. So I didn't do that here because I wasn't quite sure if the space is going to stay, but you would want, you're seeing the faucet here, which means plumbing is coming from this wall. So you'd want this to be thicker, which makes sense because the faucet's coming from over here. So you would want more thickness here. So you're going to end up losing some space on this vanity because you need to have a thicker wall. But then the toilet is attached to this wall, which is fine, but you just need to make it a little thicker to accommodate for plumbing. And the same can be said when you have a kitchen wall where the sink is or the dishwasher, anything where plumbing is connected to it, just like 3 inches wider or just a little bit wider. You'll have courses where you go into deeper evaluation of wall thicknesses and what's going on in the walls, but just be cognizant of that, especially since you may be cutting a section. If you're in 1490, you may end up cutting a section. If you were to cut through a section here, you're going to cut through a plumbing wall. And so it's going to impact the thickness of the wall that you have in your cabinet wall section. So think about that. But yeah, so if you are this student or you have a similar idea or like considerations. Again, I'm seeing a lot of rooms where things are closed off. And I'm seeing a lot of long spans of space that aren't being fully utilized. So I do think that there may be some wasted space going on here just through basic space planning. Um, so keep working on it, keep thinking about it, make sure things are the correct size. So, for instance, I'll just do a bar stool. So, like, if you look at the size of these bar stools compared to this chair, that's substantial. So, the bar stool would actually be like that big. So, you might be able to get two here. But I do, just because I'm critiquing this doesn't mean I don't like it. I am really interested in this loungy breakfast nook counter relationship because there's a variety of different spaces for entertaining and dining happening here. So it's very active and you have a lot of options. And I really appreciate that because some days you just want to, sit back on the sofa. Some days you want to read a paper and have a quiet breakfast. Having a nice little nook is important for that. We know that this client is a writer, so this might actually be a nice spot for writing when he's not in his study. Lots of different things. So yeah, those are my suggestions. When you're drafting, draw, or even when you're concepting, draw a little scale so you can keep yourself on track with space. Here's the section development going along with this. I am seeing another window here. So I don't see it on this side. I actually see the fireplace, and I'm not seeing the fireplace here. So that's a little confusing to me. Make sure that in your section you're indicating your fireplace. Make sure that your section matches your floor plan. That's a huge thing. Make sure your drawings match each other. And if this, is the section to this would look a lot different because it looks like we have a wall here. So this would be completely walled off. So almost like it would look like, well, that's weird. It's pink now. So it would look like that. And you might actually show that you have a little bit of a door here. Otherwise, it's going to get confusing. So we would just add a little bit of a door. And this is just diagramming. This is not how it would actually look. This is just to give an idea. So it looks like, you can go through this space, but it's still connected. And then if this, you would actually see the countertop coming out here. So you would see that space. And then you would see this fireplace, which looks like it's about the same size as the countertop. So that's a nice design carry-on. So you would see that coming out. And then, however tall that you want that chimney to be, you would see that. I'm just going to separate those so you understand the difference. You would see more walls right in here, looks like halfway through the stairs. So you would actually see the wall here, which goes to the bathroom. Actually, so what it would be is almost the same as this. So you're seeing another wall. This wall does not, go up all the way. Just goes up to the ceiling. And then yeah, we would have to talk a little bit more specifically about the section cut, because you're showing a window, which means the section cut would be like in this area. So then you wouldn't see that wall. You would almost just see the ottoman, which would be right under the window. And that looks like it says bookshelves. So there would be, bookshelves here. Let's say this is a bookshelf. So you're seeing, when you see it in section, now you're seeing what's happening with the stairs. So this flat part and the side of the stairs is called the stringer. So you could have it exposed like this, because then that would give you some space right here. But you could also block it out. You could carry it down so it's more of a formal wall. And then, you could have it as, a triangular wall, or with a railing. You will need a railing if it's coming up all the way. Or you might choose to just keep your wall going all the way up, in which case you would actually and it showed this on the floor plan, so I want to be accurate here. It would go up to there if your wall is not a hallway for the stairs and it's more of a railing half wall when you're coming up the stairs. If it is a full wall, you would go all the way up. So it might be like that. You would, so what I would do for something like this, because you want to show the stairs, but if this is a solid wall right here and these stairs essentially is a closed off hallway, what I would do is I would lower the opacity, because you're going to have to shade that wall to show that it's a wall. I would lower the opacity on it and then do dashed lines to indicate stairs are behind it. So then we know that you go around and you go up the stairs. And then also make sure to include scale figures. So, here's a person. Let's give a person a head. Okay. There's the person's head. So the opening of the stairs would be here, but then you see there's a little sliver of space. So that's going to have to be resolved. Yeah. But also adding scale figures while you're drawing does help you draw proportionally into scale. So I guess the last note I have isn't necessarily about the design, but this was submitted on what looks like a title block, a very current title block. So, and it says cabin project. So I just want to reiterate that this project is turned in digitally with a digital title block. So you do not need to hand do your title block. If you do, you will need to import your hand drawn title block on top of the provided title block dimensions. So then you're just giving the project more of a hand drawn feel as opposed to digital. And if you do that, you might want to think about the design communication consistency, and then thinking about doing all hand lettering and dimensioning and notations for everything then, since your writing will be by hand and scanned in. So just food for thought. Doesn't mean that this is wrong. I just wanted to put that out there as a reminder, because I am always receiving a lot of questions on things that are provided in the videos and in the handouts. So if that's you and you're finding out new information, make sure to read the assignment, look at the associated handouts, and watch the videos, because that's where the information is located. So, yeah. Thank you very much.